Yeah, what you sit around and you're thinking, what what's it gonna be like in the future? Well, I'm gonna go 20 years into the future today. Welcome to the superpilotish channel. And today, in my 2024 basement, I'll be talking to you. Well, I'm gonna be making 5 predictions today. And just talking in general about what is in the future of flying. So I'm thinking specifically 20 years from now, what's it going to be like? And the reason I'm thinking about 20 years in the future is because I kind of developed this little idea. I might have brought it up on the show before. It's kind of like the 20-year rule. 20-year rule is what I call it, and it's the idea that in 20 years you can't even imagine what's going to be happening. And if you think about it, it's like that's what I've found in my over 50 years of being on the planet is that like you think, 20 years ago, I never thought I would be here talking on the YouTubes. Of course not, because 20 years ago, this didn't exist. And I'm going to go over a few other things that didn't exist 20 years ago that I was just kind of thinking, what was life like in 2004? And I can remember when I was in 2004, it was like, oh, okay. Yeah. And then, I just did a quick Google search on what was going on in 2004, because you remember some stuff, and then as you get older, all the years kind of jumble together. And was that 95? Was that 2005? You don't know. And so in 2004, it was just when Facebook first came out. It was 2004, but no one really knew about it. But it just kind of got launched in 2004. And now Facebook is like, that's for grandmothers, and it's really passe, and it's like, it's already kind of come and gone, but it barely even existed in 2004. Also, did you know? And I sound really smart this way because I just Googled it. And, oh, hey, Shecky. Oh, your daughter was born in 2004. Well, I hope you remember that on her birthday. And yeah, so Gmail came out in 2004, and it was getting beta tested. And I remember there was a buddy of mine, he signed up for the beta test of Gmail. And he said, and then he could recommend people. So I said, yeah, I'll take a Gmail email address. It's free. I'm using, what was I using? Hotmail or Yahoo or whatever it was back then. And so it's like, I got it, and then I didn't use it for years, and I just forgot my password. But it was a really cool pilot Gmail. But oh well, now it's just superpilotish at gmail.com. And then also back then was the 2004 when the Motorola Razr came out. Now Motorola Razr was like one of those little flip phones, and that was like one of the biggest selling cell phones at the time. It's not a, I guess it was sort of a smartphone. You could text on it. Before that, you had to be really rich and connected and all businessy to get your BlackBerry with the little keyboard, and you could send texts. Ooh, high tech. But the Motorola Razr was this little flip phone, and you could do texts and you could take pictures. I actually have a Motorola Razr, but it wasn't from 2004. I got it from someone that was going to throw it out, and I was like, yeah, I'll take that, sure. And I don't know, I think I bought a SIM card for it once, used it for a vacation, and stuck it in my drawer for like another 10 years. So there was that. And then apparently back then too, if you remember and you're all old, everybody had these yellow bracelets on that said live strong. And it was like because Lance Armstrong was battling cancer or something like that. And now he's all disgraced because of, I don't know, blood doping that everyone else was doing. And I don't know, it's some other weird thing. But he was like a superhero back in 2004. And then kind of fell off the Lance Armstrong. Who's that? Oh, well, there you go. So there was that. Also, I didn't know, but World of Warcraft came out in 2004 too. So I kind of got into World of Warcraft myself because I thought it was a pretty sweet game when it came out. But I had to like get more horsepower on my computer to fire it up. But it was when did I get into World of Warcraft? I don't know, 2006, 7, something like that. But it was a huge, huge, huge game when it came out. World of Warcraft. Very addictive. That's why I had to get rid of it. So, anyways, oh, hey, Wrench. I see you popping in. And yeah, like I said before, YouTube didn't come out until 2005, and then Google bought it in 2006. So that's one of my things there. Like 20 years ago, there's no way that I'd be saying, here I am on YouTube talking to the world, recording whatever for as long as Google's servers hold up. And then another thing there too was that the iPhone wasn't out. Like I was talking about the Motorola Razr. Well, that was in 2004, but the iPhone didn't come out until 2007. And I was also looking at it, the iPad didn't come out till 2010. So you look at all these things, they're just all over the place. iPads, every grandmother has one. Every Gmail, YouTube, all this stuff. And everyone walks around staring at their phones and bumping into light posts and stuff like that. So it's like that's something different that you never would have thought of that 20 years ago. So now I'm going to put on my future hat, and this is my normal everyday hat, but I'm going to imagine that it's my in the future hat. And I wrote down a few things that I think will happen to aviation in the next 20 years. And some of these will be like actually pretty boring predictions, because it's like there's going to be stuff that comes out. The biggest prediction is that there's going to be something happening in aviation that we don't even know about. We haven't even heard of it, and it's going to revolutionize things. But we don't know what it is yet. That's my biggest prediction, but I'm not writing that one down because I like to be correct, because I can never be wrong, right? Because I'm a pilot and I never make mistakes. Right. Okay, so here we go. My 5 guesses. I'm just going to call them guesses instead of predictions. So my guess is here in 2024. That's when I'm making it. I just recorded that. In 2024, we'll write down 2044. Okay. I kind of scribbled that down. 2044. There will be more flying rules. Wow, what a prediction, eh? Anybody that's into aviation at all and has talked to the old guys, the trend in aviation is just always more and more and more and more and more and more regulation all the way across the entire industry. And I don't see that. I don't really see that going away. I think the rate of all the rules, I think it'll probably slow down, but there's every accident creates a new rule pretty much. So there's going to be a lot more rules. And what's that going to make? More regulation. It's going to make, I don't think I even put it down here. I got my little cheat sheet down here. That's going to be more money all across the board. So let's say more rules, more bucks, more euros. It's going to cost a lot more in the future, or a little bit more anyways. Aviation never gets cheaper. It never gets more free with less rules. It just gets more expensive and more regulated. That's the way it goes. And I do not see that trend changing. But there could be some interesting stuff. Did I write it down here? Oh, I didn't write it down there. Okay. And then what could really, because that expense goes up so much for flying, you're going to see a lot more in the United States. They call them experimental aircraft, home-built aircraft. Here in Canada, we call them amateur-built aircraft. But that way, the pilot or whoever owns it can do their own maintenance on it. I'm not really a huge fan of those types of planes for now. I mean, they are cheaper. And if you're diligent about things, and when you're in over your head, you go talk to a real mechanic, especially about engines and stuff. But most guys don't do that. And most guys that have those planes, they let a lot of stuff slide that maybe shouldn't, and they're not really tested. So I kind of try to stay away from the experimental aircraft. But I could see that being a huge, anyone that's going to get into buying a plane, it's going to be that in the future. By 2020, in 20 years, they're going to be all over the place because it's cheaper. And will safety suffer? Probably. But It won't affect me because I'm not flying those things. Okay, two. Okay, now this is something I've seen in the last 20 years. More of a reliance on GPS. Okay, we'll just say more GPS. So that's global positioning system. It's like, it's a bunch of satellites that are going all around, or the GNSS as they call it, or well, they have a Russian one there too. It's different, but anyways, it's a GLONASS is what they call it in Russia. GLONAS. But yeah, it's basically a bunch of satellites, and they kind of, you can transmit up to them, and they tell you where you are on a little moving map and stuff like that. So that's satellite based navigation, and we'll say more GPS, less ground based nav, we'll say. Yeah, because that's kind of okay. More GPS, less ground based navigation. So that's VORs, NDBs, all these other little things that are on the ground that are sending out, zapping out signals, and the plane picks them up and says, okay, here, this is where I am. And yeah, it's going more and more and more to GPS. And because, well, it's for the people that have to maintain and calibrate all those navigation systems on the ground, it's more money, right? So whoever regulates them here in Canada, it's the good people at Nav Canada, but Nav Canada is a corporation, and they got to make a profit, and they got to cut costs, and it costs a lot of money to maintain a VOR and stuff. So, and you can sell the land if it's somewhere like downtown Vancouver, you can make a lot of money on that. And that's just the way it goes. I don't know how it works in the States exactly, but if the GPS is out there, then it puts the responsibility on the owner of the aircraft to make sure that their signals are getting received and everything, and it's all the navigation is working properly, and that's going to cost more money for the owner of the aircraft. So they'd rather outsource that. Anyways, more of that. Okay. Now, one of the big things that's really changed in the last, last 20 years, definitely. Let's see if I can fit this in the cockpit. Is that everybody, all these pilots now, they fly with iPads in the cockpit. 20 years ago, there were no iPads, but it's a fantastic tool for flying around. But right now, in most airplanes, there's like weird holders that can sit on the yoke, or they got little side mounts over here, or they put a mount over here. And it's kind of awkward to place the iPad around, or some people they'll use it as like a knee board. They'll strap it to their knee. So the iPad was never like the airplane cockpits were never designed with the idea of I'm going to have an iPad in the cockpit. And I think that's going to be something that the manufacturers are going to be integrating into it. Just like, here's your built-in iPad holder. A lot of people, they have, if they're experimental aircraft guys, they're building their own plane, they'll have like 2 iPads sitting in there, and that'll take care of a lot of their navigation problems. And yeah, the way it works now for like any of the airliner guys flying around, it's fantastic for them because they can have all their IFR approach charts right on the iPad. And they can just say, okay, I'm flying from Montreal to Tokyo, and this is what we're going to anticipate this, and we're cleared for this. Okay, ding, ding, ding. And the iPad will sync up with the navigation system of the airplane. And it's all it's all pretty cool and high tech and everything. And you're going to see probably 20 years from now, I could see it where they will discuss the history of map reading, and new students won't even have maps. They'll just have their iPad, and they'll back it up with their phone. If the iPad dies, they'll have their smartphone there, and everything will be on the phone and the iPad. They got redundancy there. There we go. In addition to all the GPS stuff. So I think that's going to be a big thing, the integration of the iPad. And You could say like any old tablet, but basically the iPad is the only one that's used in aviation, and I can't see anything edging its way into that, just because it's got such a track record and everything's designed for it. But 20 years from now, you never know. It might be some kind of weird open source tablet that takes over for the iPad. Who knows? Could be cool. I'd buy one maybe. I don't know. I don't have an iPad. I fly locally and just kind of look out the window and say, "Oh, there's the airport," and go in there. So, okay, another thing too about flying in the future in 2024, we are going to have electric electric planes. We are going to have them, I think. Electric planes. Yup. 20 years from now, I'm making the prediction. I'm making the call. Because just the way that solar and battery technology is developing and developing and developing, and the way that, like Tesla or any of these automakers and stuff, they're doing a lot of development on batteries, and they're going to become more and more reliable, and the cost will come down, and the weight will come down, the size will come down. And I think 20 years from now, yep, we're going to have electric planes. Now, the only question is, will it be something that you're going to hop on an electric plane and fly from, I don't know, where's a good place in the United States? Fly from Miami to Jacksonville or something like that. Jacksonville to Atlanta. I don't know. Would you get on like a little plane like that? Maybe. I don't think they'd be going across the oceans or anything. Not for a long time. But electric planes, I think we'll first see them come out in the home builders, the experimental guys. They're going to be doing a whole bunch of that. And the thing is that the technology that's going to manage all those electrical and battery systems and everything, that's like, it's all coming kind of from the drone world. And there's a lot of open source stuff that you can experiment with. And that's going to go into guys' experimental planes. They'll mess around with all that. And then the guys at Cessna and Piper will be going, we could do that, maybe. And it's going to kind of move up. We could get a cargo plane, maybe. So, well, Cessna gets, has an electric caravan. They're already kind of looking into that. And so you could do, it would probably start off with cargo and one pilot. Because when it comes to cargo, they don't care. It's like, you got passengers in the back. There's a whole other world of regulation and everything. But you're flying boxes, or a lot of flights actually are checks, canceled checks, and they got to get flown back to the bank. A lot of people run bags of checks from one city to the next. They usually do that at night or first thing in the morning, last thing at night. And then that's an airplane job that a lot of people do. And so I could see the electric planes. Yeah, well, we don't know too much about these. We'll throw a bunch of cargo around, and after a few years, we'll put some passengers in the back. So I do think electric planes will be around by 2044 in some capacity or another, but not for big airlines. Okay, that is my one guess for that. My prediction. Okay, the next one. Okay. Talking about the airlines, as there is now with just about every industry out there, there's a labor shortage. And so there's, pilots are, well, I wouldn't say there's a real super shortage of pilots. It's a shortage of very experienced pilots. And there's less and less people getting into flying because of the expenses and all that other stuff. And a lot of guys are just happy getting high in their mom's basement playing flight simulator rather than getting into the real thing. So those guys aren't going to be pilots. They're going to be stoned for the next 20 years. That's another prediction, but I'm going to leave that to another day. So the airlines, they're going to have a hard time finding pilots for the amount of people that are going to be wanting to travel. Just as the population goes up, it's going to be more airline travel. Airplane travel has always increased since they came out with, like, I don't know, what was the first ones? Those old weird biplanes that had 8 people in the back. Yeah, it's just gotten more and more, and it'll continue, I think. Bigger planes, faster planes, all this other stuff. As far as going to to solve the pilot problem. I don't think they would be going anytime too soon, even in 20 years for just to go to like a single pilot for a huge airliner. I think you need anything that's important in an airplane. There's always two of them, and a pilot's pretty important. So, yeah, so you're gonna have just like the other day I was talking about, one of the wheels falls off of a plane, well, you got a backup wheel. If you have an electrical, like if you're on a big jet or something like that, the generator fails for the electrical, there's a backup generator. There's a auxiliary power unit that they can fire up. There's other things that anything that's critical to keep the plane safe in the air, there's two of them. So two pilots, one guy gets incapacitated. And I don't know if the satellite communication would be good enough to fly an airplane. Like, say you're on the ground, and you got your little joystick as the backup pilot here. I'm sitting in my basement on my computer flying an airplane that's over India or something. I don't know if they're with latency of all the electronic communications. I don't quite see that working yet, and I still don't think it'll be going in. I think it'll be just cheaper for people to throw someone in the other seat. So airlines, I think they will start doing a bit more, because I was talking about how expensive it's going to be to fly. And this is kind of a trend already in some airlines around the world. So the airlines will train their own. Ooh, just ran out of room here. Good timing, or good placement. So the airlines, they are going to train their own pilots. So they kind of already do that. For who does that? British Airways has like a cadet program where you just sign up. You say, hey, I got a university degree. Can you train me to be a pilot? And they say, okay, sign on the dotted line. Here, pay us a bunch of cash. You can pay us back later. And you will be placed into right seat on some British Airways plane. And I know they do that. I think Lufthansa does that. KLM, no, who does that? Avianca. I met a guy that did that with Avianca from, where's that from? Colombia. Yeah, and there's another Middle Eastern one I saw. And I did some hours with a guy that was going to be flying in the Middle East. I forget which one it was. Jordan? Yeah, I don't know. One of those airlines over there. So there's going to be more and more of that, where they're going to be able to figure out, okay, this is the ideal candidate that we're going to need. They're going to have to be this smart. They have this background knowledge. They're going to have to be this motivated. They have to be this healthy. Their eyes will have to be good. Stuff like that. And that's what they'll be doing that a lot more. Just because it's going to be too expensive for people to get, or it's just going to be harder for them to scoop up people, and they want to be able to do that on a consistent basis, so they never have to worry about being short, and then they can plan their training more efficiently. And it just works better to have a program where they start from A and they end up at Z or Z. And I think that will become more and more. Okay, my 5 big predictions here. Let's recap, and then I'll go to your questions, comments. I'm sure there'll be some good ones. All right. In the future, I just hit my little mouse here with something weird. Ooh, where are my comments? Oh, there are the comments back. Okay. In the future, and this is the easiest of easy prediction here. Okay, you're going to have a lot more rules, more regulation. That will cost you more money. And as far as navigation goes, there's going to be a lot more GPS and less ground-based navigation. The trend is already there. I could see in 20 years, there'll be no NDBs, no VORs, no nothing. It'll just be all GPS. And you will also have your iPad in the cockpit. That will have a certain amount of GPS in it too. And it's going to be pretty common to have in 20 years. I'm going to say that you won't even be using a map on your flight test, like a paper map. They're going to be testing you on how well can you use your tablet or what do they call it? EFB, electronic flight bag, I think is what they call it now. So, um, yeah, and because kids these days, half of them can't read maps anyways. They'd be better off with a GPS telling them to turn right at the cloud, you know? Okay, and then electric planes. There will be electric planes around. I think you'll be able to go out and buy them in 20 years. That's as far as being like for small planes. I think you'll be able to do that. Big planes, not too sure. I'm not gonna bet on that one. But there will be electric planes around in 40 years. Oh yeah, there'll be a whole bunch. Airliners, the airlines will start to train their own a lot more in that much time in 2024. So those are kind of trends that are happening now, and I don't see those trends getting less or reversing. That's the trend. It'll just keep continuing, and will in the end probably everything will be safer. That's also a trend. And so I mean, you can kind of play little thought experiments and go on and on about that, but I don't know. Those are five that just came to the top of my head. And of course, but the number one that I guess I should have put zero before one, two, three, four, five. Uh, guess prediction number zero for computer people would be there's going to be something that comes out in the next 20 years. We can't even imagine it, and it's going to revolutionize flying. Could that be something with Elon's rockets? Could that be drone technology? We don't really know, but there's always something like 20 years ago, like I was saying before, in 2004, if someone said, hey, you're going to be flying around with an iPad, you'd say, what's that? Oh, they're going to invent it in 6 years and it'll be everywhere. There you go. So that's kind of what technology happens. So we're going to be really surprised. Get ready for a good surprise because it'll probably be pretty cool. Okay, so let's see what is going on for our questions, etc., etc. So we got Shecky and Wrench in here. All right, Shecky's got his burner phone. Cost $20 and looks like a razor. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, one of those little flip phones. Yeah, there's Americans that you guys can get really cheap burner phones over there. That's pretty cool. The whatever vacation phone, burner phone. I guess if I went on I don't know if I would do that. I guess if I went on a vacation in the States, I'd probably get like an American SIM card instead of a burner. But okay, here we go. Oh yes, Rich. Your early cartoons on superpilotish continue to get views. Yeah, I did them a long time ago. Stuck them on YouTube. Never even thought about it for years. Then it was like, oh, I want to do a YouTube channel. How many views do I got on this? Whoa! So it's like I'll just kind of piggyback. I already had but once I started doing this type of live stream stuff, I already had 120 subscribers or something like that. I could always use more. Like and subscribe, everybody. Smash that like button. Hit the thumbs up. And interesting here. So Shecky was saying a guy he plays poker with works at Google, and he said, don't get used to it, YouTube. It won't be around long. I said, you are wrong. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, YouTube is basically replacing television the way I see it. So hey, I get to be my own TV star in my basement. Pretty cool. Don't even have to commute. Okay, Wrench has a prediction here too. Let's see. Futurists are usually funny afterwards. I think the VTOLs won't really happen. Yeah, vertical takeoff and landing. That's kind of like those little kind of drone looking planes. Okay, and then he's afraid little planes will be less common than outlawed in North America. Yeah, I think they will become less common. Yep, because it's going to get expensive, and but I don't think they'll get outlawed per se. They could be a little bit more restricted where they can fly, but I still think there's enough rich guys out there that kind of tell politicians what to do, and they want to have their expensive toys. So I don't think we have to worry about that outlawing little airplanes. Just because I've met a few rich guys here and there, and or talked to pilots that fly those rich guys around and stuff, and they get what they want, and if they want this toy, they will get it. So luckily, we got some billionaires that like airplanes, so that's cool. Um, hmm. All right. So Ranch, he would prefer to use an old paper chart. I love map. I love my little map. Just look at it and away you go. Ideally, when you're flying your plane, you should be looking outside anyways. If it's a nice VFR day, you want to check out the view. Yeah, the old paper charts are not easy to get. You got to order them online, And the thing is, you never know when they're going to be updated and out of date and stuff like that. So that's why I think eventually they're going to probably get rid of all those paper charts. They'll probably get rid of it, and then once they do that, everyone will have their iPad. So, and then okay, in semi trucks CU design, all have tablet holders, never Apple brand. Interesting. Okay. All right, just kind of checking some more of these things. Always nice to get a few. I kind of like it when you guys in the chat go back and forth. That's kind of half the fun. That's kind of why I wanted to have this type of a show, is get more people going back and forth. Just need a lot more pilots to show up. But in the meantime, that's that. Okay, cool. I thought I saw something in here. Would you work for an airline training school? Well, I think me personally, I don't know. I'm kind of at the point where I'm a freelancer now, so I can kind of pick and choose who I want to work for and work with. And so would I work at an airline training school? Nope. I would never work at any other school again, anyways. I don't think. I kind of like the freedom of doing what I'm doing. But yeah, and the thing is, those airline training schools is basically it would be just like any other kind of flight school, I guess. And so you'd be like, I could do that, and you just teach people how to fly from scratch. Actually, I was talking to a guy. He used to do that he was like a civilian contractor for teaching military guys how to fly from scratch. And yeah, it was basically kind of a same as teaching anyone else how to fly, but there was very, very regimented. That was for the military. I've heard that the programs are like that also for airlines, where it's very regimented. And even for that, I don't think I kind of prefer teaching people how to fly for fun, because it's more fun. It's not like I have to, people can put a lot of stress on themselves if they're learning how to fly, and I have to do this so I can get this job. And I don't know. I kind of like low stress. So anyways, as far as working for an airline school, no, I'm kind of semi-retired, so I'm not going to be working anywhere full time anyways for a while. Okay. Okay, so that is about it for today. Excellent pizza day today. Oh man, it was funny. I was looking through Twitter, and I was checking on the Twitters, and then I saw this pizza come up. It was like Pizza Hut. Yeah, Pizza Hut. It's okay. I'm partial to my Windsor pizza, but Pizza Hut's better than Domino's, and definitely better than Little Caesars. So, but I saw this pizza there, and I was like, yes, I'm very happy that I'm having pizza today, because it's Pizza Friday. And there we go. So that means I'll be back on Monday, and I'll be a little fatter from a pizza. But yeah, back on Monday, because I do this Monday, Wednesday, Friday at noon Eastern. And you guys have a good weekend. We'll just kind of shut her down. Thank you for watching. Bye.